welcome back to the Tolleson-Mack podcast here at the Prescott Frontier Days, 136 years going strong. And we got some Prescott royalty with us. The Kieckheifers decided to stop by. Rick and Sarah, we're glad to have you guys. You said this is your first podcast, but I feel like you got it.
He's a talker.
Yeah, I feel like you got it. If you just tell us that same story again about them horses you were just talking, I mean, this thing's going viral. Why don't you give us just a little bit of background on like when your family came here, your horse program and some things like that?
Yeah, you bet. My Kieckhefer side of my family came here in 1941, purchased a K4 ranch. And interesting note on that is that my mom's side of the family is the Carters, and the Carters came here in 1866.
Wow.
And settled at Walnut Creek, which is where Sarah and I still live today. So 7 generations going strong there at Walnut Creek.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. A lot of history probably riding around that ranch, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so the connection there was that my mother was a Carter on one side and a Shepherd on the other. And in 1956, my grandpa, Chuck Shepherd, went to work for my great-grandfather, Kieckhefer, and managed the K4 ranch until he was 80 years old. And so a lot of connection there from both my mother's side and my father's side. So it's a lot of history, a lot to be proud of.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's some, like I said, some royalty up here, some ranching royalty. Let's talk about that horse program a little bit. You were saying registering maybe the first quarter horse and things like that.
1943.
1943.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1943. I think the AQHA started in 1941, if I remember right. And we registered the first horses in 1943. They actually, some of the first registered horses we had come from the Green Cattle Company, the ORO from Cananea, Mexico. And so no stud, no mare. It just said RO stud, RO mare. That was the registered names. And so this same story there, a lot of history.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
We just got, in February, got awarded the 75-year breeder from the AQHA.
Wow, congratulations.
Even though we've registered them longer than that, but
that's pretty cool.
yeah.
Yeah, and you were saying a cool story. You didn't even know, because you're entered at the rodeo, right?
Yep.
And you didn't even know till like yesterday at 10 o'clock that you're going to rope?
Yeah, I'd entered in the breakaway rope, and I didn't have any money won this year, and they drew me out. And then at 10 o'clock yesterday, they called and said, hey, we have a spot if you want to fill in as a replacement. So
Hey, by the way.
Yeah, I was in Seligman at the ranch. I ran home and to the K4 and
yeah. So where are your guys' ranches? Are they all kind of up around here? Or?
So our home ranch is the K4 ranch, 45 miles north of Prescott here. That's where I was born and raised, and that's what most people know us for. Over the last 20, 25 years, Sarah and I have expanded our operation a lot. And so we operate on a little over 1 million acres. We run about 12,000 mother cows on those 1 million acres, and a lot of that is based north of I-40, north of Seligman to the Grand Canyon. It's the Diamond A ranch that we operate there. 725,000 acres on that one ranch.
Wow.
And then we have a ranch down in Douglas.
You guys feed some cattle in Douglas.
And we have a grow yard there too.
Yeah, grow yard in Douglas. Because we're we're right next to K4. I don't think, we might be able to get it on that camera, but you guys do box beef and ship the beef out and all kinds of stuff like that, right?
Yes, sir. That's an avenue that we've dipped our toe in over the last 2 years. And, you know, Sarah would tell you that I don't dip my toe in anything. I kind of just jump in and here we go, you know. And if we decide we're going to do something, we just get up early and work hard, and we just figure it out. And,
that's just the ranching mentality.
Yeah.
You just want to get it done, get it done.
We just outlast it, I think, is all we do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we have a box beef program. Our direct-to-consumer is K4 Gourmet Beef, and our wholesale is K4 Copper State Reserve.
Okay.
And so most of our production goes as wholesale, and we have distributors we work with in Phoenix and Tucson and California. And then a small portion of that is our online sales at K4 Gourmet Beef.
Okay, cool. You're liking it? You dipped your toe in? How you like the water?
You know, it's a long-term project, just like any project is, and it's a relatively small portion of our production, and so we're committed to it. We like it more every day. You know, box beef is a lot different than cattle, and we knew that going into it, but we've learned a lot. We've learned a lot of things we don't want to do. And you know, the analogy that I use is we're processing 70 head every 2 weeks, and we send 70 head in there, and we're pretty good at tracking cattle. That's what we do, and
You guys are real good at tracking.
we know what's going on there, and we ship 70 head in there, and then we send a truck over there, and we come out of there with about 500 cases of boxed beef, and now we had 70 to track. Now we got 500 to track. So, you know, we thought that we were going to streamline some, but it's a challenge.
But working with those distributors and getting the beef out, I mean, that kind of helps a little bit, huh?
Yeah, and I think the long-term project is, you know, the future is really bright, you know, and it's just the short term is just the logistics, and it was just, you know, making connections, meeting people, you know, just trying to connect different dots, because it is a business that we started from scratch. It's a business we didn't have any experience in. And so we do have experience with business, but we didn't have it with that business. And so, you know,
and it's a perishable item. I mean,
You
it's
can't
not like
hold
you're buying
on to it for
pickups.
very long.
You can't, you know, you're buying and selling pickups. You can park them outside, you know.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But there are more and more people in the general public that want to know where their food comes from.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're leaning towards that.
More than ever, right?
Yeah.
Let's touch on that a little bit. What do you guys think about that lab-grown beef?
Not good.
Horrible idea.
Yeah.
I mean, because when you go take a cow and it's got cancer eye or something, you only want good ones, especially Brandon Shelton. I'm sure you all got to deal with the USDA stuff, and they're so picky about everything. I don't know why they would just allow that to happen.
Right.
Yeah,
Be grown in a petri dish.
Right. I mean, on our side of things, I mean, these USDA inspectors are so tough on us on everything that we do. I mean, I'll tell you guys a funny story that'll make you laugh. Rovi brought us some cattle down to my processing plant, and they're like Wagyu cross Jersey cows, but
Right.
they got a lot of Jersey influence in them, right? They're still Jerseys, and they're out there licking the fence. So the inspector calls me out and he says, "Hey," he says, we gotta stop. We gotta stop for a little bit. I said, "Stop what?" He said, "Stop the operation. You can still process, but we can't slaughter right now. We gotta stop. I gotta get the vet on the phone." I said, "Well, what do you need to get the vet on the phone for?" He says, "Well, these animals obviously have a neurological problem." And I said, "Well, what's that?" He says, "They've been licking the fence for like the last 10 minutes.
That's terrible.
I said, "Well, they're Jersey cows. I mean, that's what Jersey cows do.
Yeah.
Right? They lick everything in sight."
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And so he had to make a bunch of phone calls. But yeah, we were down like 45 minutes.
Oh,
We had to make a bunch of phone calls. And then, so what really scares me about the lab grown beef is maybe a guy like that might be in some part of control of it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That worries
That
me.
doesn't understand.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
doesn't understand. And I mean, there's every week down there. I mean, my guys will tell me, like, we go out there with pin cards, and there's this many steers and this many cows, and you got to walk the inspector around and say, you know, this is a cow, this is a steer, and those things, that's a bull.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and
Yeah, they just don't know.
it makes me a little nervous that, you know, that lab grown beef might be controlled by a guy like that. I don't know.
Well, what makes me nervous about it from an industry standpoint is, you know, us as producers and us as an industry, and referring to the cattle industry, we've done a terrible job with education. And so, you know, you think about those type of people and you think about the marketing they put into it, and they do a much better job than we do.
100%.
You know, any of these consumers, if they really knew the nuts and bolts of what was going in there, nobody'd eat it. And I think you're seeing some of that now.
Yeah.
You know, they're struggling to sell it now. But, you know, we've done such a terrible job defending what a great protein we have for sale, you know, that the door's open for some of these alternative proteins.
You're right.
You know, and I think even over the last 2 or 3 years, you've seen the industry evolve to where they're like, we better get in front of this or we're going to lose, you know, 8 to 15% of the market share of red meat to the fake meat.
Do you guys get down to Mexico any? You go to Mexico ever?
For work
Just
or
for whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we go periodically. We do some stuff down there. We cross some Mexican cattle and run those as stalkers. So we do some business down on there.
So I go down to Rocky Point a lot. You know,
Right.
I got a place down there. I love going down there. And their Sonoran beef. That's what this cattle industry right here needs to take a look at, how they market that Sonoran beef.
Right.
because they will not let anything else in there. I tried to ship some beef down there, and I mean it's a stack of paper as tall as this table
Right.
to maybe even think about maybe getting considered. And it's because they're protecting that product.
Yeah.
They don't want us coming in there. They don't want nobody else. That's Sonoran beef. Everybody in Mexico is going to eat Sonoran beef. And I think they've done a great job doing that.
What did that guy tell us the other day about the Cattle Growers Association in Chihuahua? It's like 18,000 members, or it was huge.
Yeah, Mexico is. Everybody thinks of it as third world country. They have traceability of their beef better than we do.
That's what I'm saying. And if you go,
it's terrible.
we a friend of mine owns Arlington Cattle Company, and he gets some cattle processed down there in Mexico. And we flew down to Hermosillo and toured their plants. And obviously, us owning a plant, we're in a bunch of them, and
Right.
they're as clean or cleaner than
Mhm.
anyone I've been in up here.
Right. Well, I mean, majority of them are USDA inspected. They're just not USDA graded.
Right. So, yeah, Sacarpa, I think that's what they call them. But
Sucarni.
yeah, but the other side of that is too. I mean, their labor's $12 a day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
$15, $20 a day. I mean, so that all plays into it. But so, are you roping today?
Running barrels.
Running barrels.
Yep.
All right.
That's
What-
why. Yeah, Sarah's always been. I've always been a fan because she'll rope, she heads, she'll break away, she'll run barrels, but her horses will walk in there like gentlemen. Like they're. You can tell she rides them a lot and works them. And then Rick's made the finals before, so I've always been a fan of the family, and it's just really cool. And I was wanting to touch a little bit on your all's breeding program you have going on right now. I was talking to you a little bit earlier. You mentioned, Sarah, you had 15 studs.
Yeah. We're crazy.
That's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to keep them rode down and kind of,
Yeah.
them studs are busy. And you say you got 60 mares.
60 mares, yeah.
That's kind of
Two different herds. So half of them stay in Seligman, and then the other half are here in Prescott.
that's awesome. That's quite a job.
Yeah. We pasture breed, so it makes it easier. But like all the mares in Prescott, I preg test. I went to school and got an ultrasound machine and have been doing that.
Created yourself another job.
I did create
y'all got a
myself
lot on your
a
plate.
harder
You really
job.
did.
I didn't realize how hard that was.
Sometimes we think that, man, I think I'll just do
I'll
it
save
myself.
some money,
And it's
yeah.
like, oh, I've just created myself
Yeah,
another full-time
yeah.
job.
No, it's fun. And then 8 years ago, we started our production horse sale, and every year it just gets bigger and bigger. And
That's awesome.
yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's fun, and you get a lot of pleasure seeing those horses go on to somebody or a trail rider that just enjoys having a good broke horse.
That's the Legacy Ranch horse sales.
Legacy Ranch horse
Every
sale?
September. Yeah.
Every
Yep,
September?
right here where we're sitting.
They do it right here.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we'll make sure we come to that.
Yeah.
Do
yeah,
you,
you
uh,
should.
Sure, that'd be great.
Do you have a stud that you're kind of like really high on right now? One or two studs that you really like that are
We bought one into the Royal Crown. His name's Figure Me Famous. He's by Popular Resort Figure, and then out of a mare that Rick rodeoed on, that he rode calves on.
Okay. Nice.
So we're riding some of his babies. Joseph Parsons has two, right?
Yeah,
Two of them.
Joseph's got two.
I think Joseph roped calves here the other night. I think I seen him at the Cowboy Channel roping calves. One of them Parsons did. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
those are horses that he's bought through the sale and went on and trained them himself. The thing that we do on our horses is on the ranches we don't own four wheelers. We don't use helicopters. We do everything horseback. I mean, it's a part of that's tradition and part of that's out of necessity.
That's how you make good horses.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we have 35, 40 cowboys that work for us. It takes a remuda of horses of a couple hundred to get the job done. And so what I tell people about our horses is they may not be finished horses to go rodeo on. They may not be finished horses to go show in different avenues, but they are not messed up. They're not anybody's reject, and they have been rode. And they've been rode a lot.
Mhm.
And I always make the comment that most of them have been backed up further than most horses have been rode. and I think there's a testimony to those guys that know that, and they take a horse that we rode that's 4 or 5 years old, and they can train them in 6 months to be, at the professional level, not at a jackpot level, at the professional level. And so that's something that's very rewarding for Sarah and I because, I'm 45, she's 44. We're looking back at these horses that when we got involved in the program and we started running the program, you know, we're looking at mares now that we halter broke 25 years ago. And now it's their babies or their babies' babies that we're watching have these things happen, you know. And so it's just like we look at those little babies and we see them as a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old. We see the guys riding them, and it's just like, I've already read this book. I know what it's at the end, you know.
Do you notice that there's a good mares will keep producing good colts? I mean, even if they're not just superstars, they're still good horses, man.
And I think that's part of an evolution of a program, right? And we've had a horse program for 80 years, and so obviously the ones that you didn't like, you didn't breed, right? And so generation after generation after generation is just filtering to make those elite horses, you know. It's really neat. It's really exciting.
We're in the middle of a windstorm.
Yeah.
Arizona.
Prescott, you never know.
Don't rain, but it's
Freezing, wet, or sweating.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
All in the same day.
Right, all in
Yeah.
the same day.
And you know what they say about Prescott? They say we get about 12 inches of rain a year, and you sure ought to be here the day we get it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's something the day we get it.
Yeah.
I got a quick question to ask. So, Sarah, like your performance horses that you'd ride here, run barrels, you break away, you know, or like Rick, even when you were rodeoing a bunch, do you take them horses and use them on the ranch? Those get in the trailer and go.
Like my barrel horse I'm riding today, I bought him out of a dispersal sale a couple of years ago from Judd Little.
Oh yeah.
But I can sort cattle on him.
That's
And
why her horses can walk.
That's kind of what I was getting to, and we talk about that. Like you see some horses and they're just so jacked because all they do is go straight to the arena, and then if you take them out and ride them and let them remember they're still a horse.
Yeah.
You know, it's so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a stud a young stud that I just pulled off the mares 3 days ago. Day 2, I was out heading steers on him.
Yeah.
And he's next to my geldings, and several of my studs I can put in with my geldings when it's not breeding season. They all can stay turned out together.
And I mean, I guess that's kind of gets to what Rick was saying, you know, these horses, and you make the joke that they've backed up more and they went forward, but I mean, that's what makes a horse.
It does for us.
I mean, it does for anyone I know and anyone I've ever got on.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's the only way I've ever been able to make one, you know, was just to
Wet blankets and miles.
you know, everybody has a different approach, but I jokingly say, you know, the last thing I want to do is start with somebody else's reject. I don't want the best horse trainer in the world to reject him as a cutting horse reject.
Right?
He's the best trainer in the world, and he couldn't do
And
it.
I sure said
There's
he
no
gonna be
way
able
I can do
to.
this.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, we'll let you guys get back to it. Get the back number strapped on. Go get
Thank
ready
you.
to win one. And
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And make sure everybody check out K4 Gourmet Beef over there. The stuff looks great. So,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you.
Appreciate
Thank
it
you so much.
Thank you.